Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bus channel, Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host Terry, and today, special little treat. Got to see the Bears go up against the Colts in their joint practice today, and I'll also be watching them on their Thursday practice as well. So, I do have a friend that plays for the Colts, so I was able to come out and not only watch kind of the practice with everybody, but then go on the field afterwards for a little bit and be around some of the players. So, very surreal experience, to be honest with you. It definitely was a lot I took away from today, just in general. But obviously, I'm going to stick mainly to the Bears and kind of the football aspect of it. But football is football. That's one. That's the first thing that hit me within the first few minutes. I was just like watching the drills they do and watching. Obviously practice is a lot more efficient and it's different with a joint practice, but it's all the same, really. I've never been to an NFL practice. Never really thought about going to one. The joint practices, again, obviously are different, so that was interesting. And it's the Bears and support my friends, so I came out to this. And I don't. I guess I don't know what I expected. I guess you see clips and stuff, but it was very it was very different than what I was expecting. To be honest, the NFL is a lot less than what it used to be. We all know they used to have 2-a-days, sometimes 3-a-days back way back when, and like it was just more physical. Now they have a limited amount of padded practices in general, and there are no 2-a-days, and it was just a 2-hour practice. And again, it's scripted, it's very efficient. They get to where they're going, they put in some work in those 2 hours, but it was just like nothing like I expected it to be. It was a lot more basic than some of the things I've been around in college and high school. And obviously in high school, you got to be a lot more resourceful because you don't have all the money and staff that these people do. So practice is going to be longer in general. But just a lot of things they did, especially for a training camp, I was just like, wow, this this is not what I expected. But that again just confirms to me football is football. The drills that I've coached for years, the same drills they're doing, and it's just that part doesn't change, and so it was kind of confirming. Like obviously, you're gonna have people that tell you you're not in the NFL, so you can't say anything. But as I said before, the coaching network isn't as big as some people think, and been with many college and NFL coaches, and the game is the game. And a lot of the NFL coaches respect the high school coaches a lot more because I said you got to do a lot more with less. So there's that. But anyway, outside of that, just focusing on the Bears, and it's not going to be exciting for some of y'all to hear this, but they're exactly what I thought they were. The Bears are who we thought they were. And as I say in the draft, I've been doing this for so long, it does not take me long to know a player or to know a team. And obviously, there's going to be different things, different nights. But what I thought about the Bears coming in today, I completely saw. And obviously, in the game is raw and you can't hide nothing. But in off season practices and stuff, people tend to put the highlights up. And now I realize why some fans are the way they are. Since I've been on Twitter, which is obviously dying, not just joined, but since I've been on Twitter this last 6 months or so, and then going to today's practice, I realized why some fans are the way they are. Like, people were clapping at every catch that the Colts were making and everything. Like, it is so, and players were celebrating every little thing they did. I'm like, this is practice. This is off-season practice at that. I mean, yeah, you're competing against another team, but it was not like I thought a joint practice would be, where it was really like a scrimmage. It was not a scrimmage. It was very simulated, and it just wasn't as live as I thought it would be. Obviously they didn't tackle at all. And so it was just, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, watching practice, like people were just like, that's why they be so disappointed during the season, because they hype up every little thing someone does. It's practice. It's preseason practice, and yes, practice is important, but come on now, this isn't competition for real right now. But anyway, getting to the Bears. Number one, I guess we'll start with Justin Fields. Justin Fields got hella swag. You know when he come on the field. But just watching him up close is not too difficult because we were up in the suite, so the angle is kind of similar to what you see in TV. But just watching him up close and everything, he's got easy gas, as they say, with his arm. His arms, got great velocity. He was returning punts before practice started, like when they were kind of warming up and they had the jugs machine. And so he's returning punts, and I think he was just working on like getting downhill and sprinting to warm up. But man, he is already, obviously, like I said, he's fast, but he's dynamic. Just like an open field, if it's just you, it'd be really hard to tackle this man with a full head of steam because his cuts is very sharp and all that. So you know that about him athletically. And we know, like I said, his arm is live. His accuracy wasn't too bad at all. There was maybe one bad deep pass, but everything else was on the money. And that's what you saw at Ohio State. Now, again, that's a lot of routes on air, 7-on-7, stuff like that. Once it gets to the team portion, the offensive line wasn't great. They weren't terrible, but they weren't great, the starters. So he faced some pressure. But what I saw is basically Justin not reading it, which, as I said before, you're not going to magically go from not reading it one year to reading it the next year because you changed the scheme. Same thing with Lamar. I guarantee you Lamar is not going to do what some people think he's going to do because you just don't switch the scheme and magically know how to do something. It takes a lot of repetition. So, and I'm not saying there was people wide open every play, but you could just tell this was not quick pressure because the Colts are very similar to us in terms of they don't have a lot of juice on their D-line except Buckner, but he wasn't practicing today. So it wasn't like you were going to get a ton of, quick pressure. So the Bears were holding up, and the second group was really bad, but the first group were holding up. Some stuff could have been better, but he had some time. It's just like almost every pass that wasn't a quick slant or whatever, he ended up scrambling or it took to the last second to throw it. And there's times where people bumped into the quarterback. For the most part, obviously, they're going to let the quarterback throw it. Or they will blow the whistle because these coaches get a little competitive and say he's sacked, but the quarterback will still make the throw. And so I'm just watching Justin, and I'm like, especially the last period, because the last period, it was on one field. Everybody, it was kind of like a simulated kind of scrimmage, I guess. But it was only 4-minute drill and 2-minute drill. The rest of the practice, they were on two fields at the same time, so I was trying to watch a lot. But when I really just got to focus on him, 1 versus 1s, again, they didn't even have Buckner. And I don't even think Kenny Moore was playing. He was in pads, but I don't think he practiced. So it was just a lot of time to process. And so, again, it's much like we said before, the physical tools is there. Anyone can see that. But in terms of the mental game, that's where he's going to have to really learn. So, and I don't think the receivers they weren't really routing people. Even DJ Moore, who didn't see a ton of action from what I saw, like most of the catches were contested or at least a tight window. So again, I take that back because 7-on-7, like stuff like that, they were more open on slants and all that. Or no, 1-on-1s. Once it became 7-on-7 and team, everything was contested. So it wasn't like we had a ton of separation. And Claypool wasn't out there today, but separation is not the name of his game either. So that was one interesting thing. But Darnell Wright, I think he could clean some things up, but he's as good as I thought. The O line, like I said, they look solid. The interior, Whitehair and Nate Davis will be interesting on pass rush. But we're definitely a lot more solid than we were last year. Defense, lot of players out. What's his name? Tremaine Edmonds wasn't playing or practicing. Um, Brisker wasn't practicing. But I don't think Ngakwe was even there. Or he might have been there, or he wasn't wearing his jersey if he was. But he wasn't practicing. And what I feel about our defense is what I felt last year. We just have no juice on the D line. Both the rookies, or the two top D tackles, Pickens and or Zach was the third one. Or was the second one? But those two, they got the same issue a lot of people do. And I was talking to my friend about that because he plays D line. And I talk about during the draft. A lot of D linemen just stick to their blocker. It's just I don't know what it is. Even when I coach, it's hard to get someone to know and understand and rep this what you're asking them to do, which is continue to move your feet to the quarterback. And you might not have the best hands in the world. You need that. You need good hands. But if you always move to the quarterback, even if you're bull rushing, if you're always moving to the quarterback, good things happen. It's just a lot of these D linemen just get on a block and they just want to sit there with the lineman. Coaches will say in practice is like, y'all like the titty bump. Like y'all just trying to sit here and bump chest. And I don't understand it. But those two, that's pretty much all they were doing. They didn't have any dynamic to their pass rush. Walker wasn't doing anything. And then Rasheem Green, I forgot, out of USC, I remember him. He's actually a tweener D tackle, but they play him on the edge. He wasn't doing crap. And the Colts O-line isn't great, especially at the tackle. So the fact we're not getting no pressure. The only time we really got pressure was when we did stunts and twists, and that's kind of been this thing for a minute, even when we had Khalil Mack. So it's just no juice on the D line right now. Like, yeah, they'll hold up some blocks, maybe stop the run, but it's just no juice outside of that. And they were lighting it up between our linebackers. TJ Edwards was out there, Sanborn was out there. Sanborn really very limited in coverage. Like I said, Edmonds was going to be way more dynamic, but over the middle, they was lighting us up in every part of practice. So if they had time, they were able to do that. So that will, again, Edmonds is going to change a lot of that, but that'll be interesting. But other than that, it's the same stuff. Kyler Gordon was in the nickel. Stevenson is the corner when we're nickel. So that will, I think, be an upgrade. He's very sticky. He's going to get some flags. He's very chippy in terms of, being physical, but he's very sticky in man coverage. Recognition in zone, we'll have to see what he can do. But I just think that second corner spot is going to be good, a lot better than it has been. So that makes me feel better. I still don't think Kyler Gordon is a great nickel. To be honest, the best thing he might do is blitz, but Kyler is not that big. I don't know his stats, but looking at him today, I was like, wow, he is really kind of small. And so there was that too. Safeties did not look good in the run, but again, Brisker wasn't there, and I think he'll will be good there. But yeah, there's a lot of big runs that happened just because the safeties were not filling the alley and coming downhill for real. And then Jalen Johnson was solid. He got beat a handful of times in 101s, pretty nasty, but 101s ain't always realistic, obviously, so I ain't too worried about that. He's solid, but he definitely ain't the clamps that everybody try to act like he is. So, yeah, I'm trying to think the main things that we want to talk about. Foreman was the main running back. Actually, Herbert was there because I saw him in the last period, but for the most time during the practice, I saw Foreman was the one that was running the ball, 21. And he was doing pretty good too. But yeah, the offense just in general was definitely a work in progress. It wasn't humming or anything at all. And then Defensively, yeah, but again, so many starters out, but still, it wasn't too different than what it was last year. So the Bears is pretty much, I mean, even with the additions and who we got, I look at it and like I said before, in one of the last episodes, is just looking at the season and looking who we got. This is what I feel about the Bears, and I still feel that way. And it is crazy how much people hype things up in the offseason, the media and all that, because there's the MVP talk for Justin Fields. There's all types of stuff about the Bears. And it's not say that we can't be good and grow, but if you look at film from last year, and then if you just go to a practice, you would be pretty comfortable in knowing how you think this is going to happen. Unless, I mean, some people ain't good at projecting, but I feel very comfortable, even without going to another practice. I feel very comfortable knowing what the Colts going to look like and what the Bears going to look like. But yeah, so it was a lot of interesting stuff. One thing I will say that's not Bears related, Anthony Richardson has very bad accuracy. And that was my conclusion coming out of the draft. And it ain't changed. And we have no reason to think it would. Like, he gets named the starter, and people talking about he's doing wild things in practice, and so people just act. I don't get why people think in a few months you're gonna become a different player. Like, yes, you're gonna have different coaching and all that, and things might change a little, but some of that stuff, especially quarterback, it is what it is, and it's gonna take some years to retrain yourself. So, but I was watching him, and excuse me, I was watching him in warm-ups, and I'm just like, there's some things he was missing. And I was like, oh my god. Then they were doing this drill where the quarterbacks were like on the agility bags, and they were doing some footwork back and forth, back and forth, and then they had to stop and throw at the net, with the little pocket in it. Everybody loves those. So he throws at the net and he misses every time. And a couple times he kept hitting the bar, the railing, the frame of it, and he missed every time. And not only did some other quarterbacks hit it when they did it, but then Michael Pittman, the receiver, came over and he was asking them like how to do the drill. He did it and then threw it and he made it in the net. And I was just like, yo, that's crazy. So, I mean, it ain't like he gonna miss every pass, but there's some short stuff and easy stuff he was completing. Uh, Plays on the move where he completed it downfield. Um, and so, yeah, obviously he could get the ball to somebody eventually, but like pressure situations, pure accuracy, man, the man is not, he is not there. And he wasn't there in Florida, and that's what I expected. But it's just wild to watch it in real time, especially when the media is hyping him up. So, y'all, if you're a Colts fan, you better strap in, man, because that's going to be a rocky ride. I'm going to just let you know that right now. So what else? I think that's it for the most part. That's probably what I'll say, man. But one of the big things I learned today, man, or that I knew and I preached on the draft, but I want to triple, quadruple down today. These people are people, man. And if you ain't been out to training camp or all that practice or just know some players, man, to see them just they with their family right after practice, like moms, kids, wives, uncles, whatever. Like they just people. And I know we get caught up in fantasy and bets and our team and all that. These are just human beings, man, living their life to the best they can. So it was an interesting experience, but yeah, I mean, no groundbreaking news to tell you about the Bears, and I'm sure you got reporters and people telling you things every single day from practice, but overall, once the lights come on, there's a switch that can be flipped. And from week 1 to week 17, we're going to change, better or worse. So right now it's not the final product, but what I saw today, it is simply a very similar version to what we had last year. And so the scheme will be different and we'll see. But yeah, we gotta see how the O line protects. And to be honest, I probably will bring this up later. I almost guarantee there's going to be some debate because the line's going to be getting blamed for pressure and sacks that I think Justin Fields is going to be the actual culprit of because he's not processing things quick. And we got into a little bit of debate about that last year, and we talked about the receivers, bad play call, all this stuff. Justin Fields, I don't think he sees it. I don't think he sees it quickly, I should say. But when he wants to make his decision, I mean, I think he's a very capable quarterback. And then defensive wise, man, we're gonna be very middle of the road, is probably my guess. So anyway, that's it for me. Go down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and remember, stay up and bear down.